Why don't you all get together a little more? Like sit close. We'll look bigger for the selfie. Yes. Please, come on. Closer. Up front. There's not going to be 150, 200 people here today. Come on. Move it. Hug. Tight. Get in there. Tony's nice. Come on. Need air? We'll figure that out. Yep. Come on, guys. Come on, Arkisha. Bring it over. Come on, Emmy. Move over to the right. Great. Yes. Oh. So you're probably wondering why you're all here and nobody else is here. There are about 40 to 50 people online. And first of all, having a town hall, especially at this time, is really challenging for all of us. I recognize, I had to leave Crystal downstairs actually, that there's going to be a lot of people filtering in and out. Everybody is welcome. We have certainly from the certified IT groups, a lot of people doing testing. But really the whole purpose of the meeting today was to get everybody together. One, to thank you for all the work that we're doing, not just within CUIMC IT, but for this thing called Epic that hopefully finally will end in 57 days. I think it's 37 business days. It will be all over. The nightmare will begin anew with a new nightmare, but this nightmare will be over. But all of you have been spending so much time working on that, doing so much for that, we're not there yet. But to get everybody together, have a chance to just talk about high-level few things, and more importantly, talk about some key initiatives that we want to do in 2020, especially around women in technology, around centralizing, and around bringing our brethren from the certified IT groups together with us, so we're all one big happy family. That's important to me, and that's why I wanted to get everybody together. Now, we only scheduled 2 hours to talk, so I'm not going to talk too much. And then you have 2 hours to have a nice glass of wine. And I'm sure the crowd will totally shift at that moment. There'll be 100 people for that. So thank you for coming. And thank you for everybody online. It's very important to me, all of you are here. So as I said, thank you. We're working on so many different things, so much work that goes into Epic, that goes into things like the cloud, support desk every day. We have a lot of customers that are very challenging, and all I keep hearing is better and better things. You may not see it. It may all look the same to you. You're like the same people complaining, the same problems, the same issues. But we're actually at a point now where we've got people talking to us about, here's $20 million to upgrade your network. People actually want to do that now. Here's $5 million to go invest in the cloud. We actually want to change the fees for people. The reception is now there. And now we have a new dean that's going to be coming in. We have a new leadership team. We're hiring new leadership. All of that is starting to change the environment here. And it's only been, for me, 2 years. And yet all that change is because of you. It has nothing to do with me. So I want to thank all of you for that. It's very important to me that you're buying into it. And I also want to apologize to you, because you probably know I make a lot of promises. I say yes to a lot of things. Say we're all going to get it done, and it doesn't always get done. So I'm not stupid. I know. Sometimes we just can't do it. Sometimes I have to make promises. We can't always keep them on time. It's really hard to work here. Is there anybody from the administration online? No? It's really hard to work here. My God, it's really hard to work here. How do you put up with it? My boss actually asked me that today. She said, I don't understand how we work here. She's the COO. She doesn't understand how anything gets done around here. But the fact that she even compliments us and says, IT, certified IT groups, all of us doing really great stuff, she recognizes it, is really important to me. And I also want to tell you that the reason why I want to do things like women in technology is another story she told me, which is she goes to a lot of the mixers, parties that we have We had a wellness event yesterday. She meets a lot with the students, and most importantly, she meets a lot with the younger staff. So a lot of times she'll see people 20, 30, 40 years old. A lot of female employees look up to her. Say, wow, I'd really like to be a COO. But you know what the number one thing they tell her is? How the hell does anybody advance around here? How the heck does anybody have career development here? We haven't been giving people those opportunities, and it's important to me that we have a diverse staff, but also important to me that we give everybody opportunities to advance. How many of you in certified IT groups think you have a path for advancement in your life? No, you don't, David. I know Jack. You have no chance. Who else? No one. How many of you think you have a path for advancement in CUIMC IT? Really? You don't? Okay. Sorry. I'm doing a bad job then. No, it's true. We don't have that. We don't have a good HR infrastructure. We don't have the things that, having come from a corporate environment, that I would expect and want to have for you. So this is just one example of that, but there are other things that we're planning to do with salaries. We finally got the administration on board with the idea of, does everybody know what a performance bonus is? Would any of you like a performance bonus? Of course you would, right? Would anybody on the phone like a performance bonus? Of course you would. I finally got them to write down the word performance bonus in an actual offer letter. And now we can actually start to give them to people. We can start to actually get the word salary equity built into our vernacular. Our boss, my boss, actually knows and understands that our salaries are not as competitive as they need to be in the market. So that's part of, for me, career development. But I ask of you, if I'm going to do that, I'm going to push for that, give you that opportunity. You've got to keep pushing in 2020. We can have plenty of happy hours and parties. Everybody that works for me knows that I love happy hours. Few people don't like that I love happy hours. They want to keep me alive and healthy. But I want you to succeed, and it's my job to give you opportunities to do that. But you got to play ball with me on that. Because there's a lot of stuff that's going to be happening. So when I mention the word centralization, I know some people like it, some people don't. It's going to take a lot of work. It's going to take a lot of patience. We've set some goals out to achieve. I'm going to be very patient with it, but we got to get it done. And I know from all your users that speak to me, all your leadership that speaks to me, there's some people that love that idea, and there's some people that really don't. But we are starting. You don't see it again, but we're starting to see change happen. So we've got to be a part of that. We've all got to get on board with that. So I just wanted to open with those comments. We're going to start with our Women in Technology program. I'm really happy about this, and thank you again, Tanya, for coming. What we've been doing at the university is diving in together. How can we start to work together, and how can we start to work together as part of diversity goals that we want to achieve? We just want it to be natural as part of our job. Look to the left and the right of you. Look! Don't you want to look at people like you and like, hi, and learn about people? Do you know anything about people you're sitting next to? You do. But I want you to be sitting next to all different people all the time. Because the other thing we're trying to do, which has been so hard up to this point, is to get us all into the same building. And after myriad negotiations, battles, talking, we believe that we will finally be over on 126th Street, all together, even you guys, certified IT groups, you will be with us in the next year. Now I'll set up, Jonathan, if you don't want to sit there, that's fine. We'll set up a little caricature of you, and we put it in a desk and pretend you're typing or something. I know you got to be up at the hospital, but it's finally a chance for all of us to sit together, work together, be together, learn about each other. Because when I go to the CUIT town hall and I speak there, there's twice the number of people here. Well, why? Because they're one block away. And because they're all together. They work together, play together, learn about each other. We are not together yet. We're getting there, slowly but surely. So initiatives like this are really going to help us in that. Then I'm going to talk about some high-level stuff. And then I thought I'd do a little Q&A panel. where basically your designated VIPs who've been sitting in a green room for like an hour, enjoying themselves, are gonna bang away some questions. They're gonna ask me some questions, I'm gonna ask them some questions. And I'm gonna pick one of you to ask some questions. Any question you want. And then we're gonna talk a little bit about something called an IT summit. Because you all know, I know, that IT is not appreciated at Columbia University Medical Center. IT is somewhat, I think, appreciated at the university. But the medical center, it's not appreciated. Now, part of that has been a leadership problem to me. And now, part of that has also been a cultural problem. Those are changing. People get it. They understand. Doesn't mean it's going to change right away, but at least you got people now that understand and say, I get it, I see it, I know. And Michael's going to talk about the IT Summit in the context of, let's go out there and start to show people what we do and how we can help them. Instead of just being a bunch of desktop people. Instead of just being a bunch of security people. Does anybody call you nice at the help desk, Rakisha? No, right? It's always a problem, right? Appreciating the help desk, appreciating everything that IT does, but talking about all the things that are going on. So Michael's going to talk about that. We're going to close. And then you're welcome to have as much beer and wine as you like. Did you all get a little one of these? Your little wristband? Okay, good. All right. Well, I'm going to turn it over to Tanya then. There you go. Thank you.
Thank you. Erik. Ooh, it's not my slide. Did you want to talk about this?
Oh, I'm so sorry. I interrupted your slide. Just go ahead and skip it. We'll come back to it.
Okay, we'll skip for now. Congratulations, Aaron.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. As Erik indicated, my name is Tanya Richards. For those of you who do not know, I am one of the 4 client managers. We're actually now called Senior Human Resource Business Partners at the Medical Center. I also have another role, which is as the Chief Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Officer for staff. And that's very important. It's actually important work that I've started to do within the last 2 years or so. With that being said, as part of my role, I do have an opportunity to start employee resource groups. Are most of you familiar with what an employee resource group is? By a show of hands. Okay, and does. So employee resource groups are when a group of employees at work who have something in common, whether it's their ethnicity or a particular interest or experience, that they sort of join together to do work in the workplace. That sort of contributes to the bottom line of the organization and what the organization mission, vision, and values are. With that being said, also in this particular role, I do have an opportunity as well to look at our affirmative action plan for the medical center. And one of the things that I've observed for the last 2 years or so, and I'm sure it's not unique to us, is that we are still not meeting our goals when it comes to women in technology. And again, I know that's not unique to us, but it's something that we really want to work on. With that being said, I wanted to give you some information about our current employee resource group that has to do with women in technology. I have my colleague with me, Phoenix Russell, who's actually a data manager at the medical center, and she will be helping me out as well. With that said, Women in Technology started maybe about 2 years ago at CU, at Studebaker, and the key elements of that is about empowering the employees, the women at the medical center, inspiring them, and inspiring each other, and also allowing them to sort of grow professionally, which is sort of what Erik had mentioned earlier. Are there any questions about that? No. So our agenda, briefly, would be just doing introductions, which I think we already did, just talking about the mission of WIT, the particular committees for WIT, the benefits of WIT, and just share some of the events that we've had in the past, and also a call to action. One of the things that I wanted to note, because I see that there's also a lot of males in the room, you're probably thinking, well, where's the Men in Technology group, right? Well, what we're asking for is for the males who are in information technology roles to be allies to the Women in Technology group. We do have males in IT who do participate with us, and they're participating, Erik, notably one of them, is as an ally. With that being said, the work that I've been doing thus far for the last 2 years or so at the medical center, I did want to thank Rakesha and also Anne for helping me to sort of spread the word at the medical center. I did want to say, though, that the events that we've had in the past, there have not been that much representation at those particular events, and I wasn't sure if it's because we're all not familiar with or we need to get the word out, but I'm glad that I have this platform now so that we can sort of spread the word. So thank you again. With that being said, with mission statement, the mission of Women in Technology, WIT, at Columbia University is to attract, develop, retain, and advance women in information technology roles across our university community. Does that sound like something for the women in the audience who think that it's something that is necessary currently at the medical center? I see heads and thumbs ups. Hi, Jane, how are you? The particular WIT committees that we've had so far are, we originally had 3. I'm actually going to hand it over to Phoenix, who's going to talk about this.
Hello, can everyone hear me? All right, excellent. I'm excited to be here with you today. I just want to quickly mention that I'm the chair of our professional development committee. Both of these committees are down at the main campus right now, which is why Tanya and I are here to try to bring it up to the medical center. Everyone here at the medical center is welcome to come down to CUIT, but catching the shuttle or it takes time and a lot of energy to get down there. So we want to have something that's a little bit more local, or just that's available for everyone. So we have our community outreach team as well as our professional development team. We'll show you a bit of our website later. We had a Great Place to Work committee that has been acquired under professional development, so now it serves both of those roles and they work cohesively together now. So for our community outreach, we have 2 chairs, Laneda and Markeisha, down at CUIT. Community outreach, it really serves people of all ages across the Columbia University campus as well as outside of it, the surrounding Harlem areas. We go to middle schools and teach students to code. We teach people in the area to code. We provide resources to them. So we encourage women of all ages to pursue opportunities just outside of the community space itself. For the professional development team, it's me, Phoenix, and my co-chair, Sonia Jones, also in IT at Teachers College. And so we identify opportunities for women to grow, give them professional development opportunities, and we'll talk a little bit about some of those events that we've done. And we have taken on the Great Place to Work as well to look at how we can attract and retain talent, because we want Columbia IT to be a place where people want to come and want to stay and want to mentor each other and grow. And so now we want to look at some of the benefits of women in technology as an employee resource group, where we have networking, learning from another, and fostering open dialogue. And so I can tell you a little bit about my story. I came to the medical campus in March. Before that, I was on the main campus. I found, has anyone here heard of Emerging Technologies Consortium? Yeah, a few faces, yeah. So that's what I found first in January of 2018. And as I started to get to know people networking in that space, I started seeing some of the women in the room. There weren't that many, especially at the beginning, but one recommended to me, we're starting to launch our website in the summer of 2018, and you should be there. And so I went, and from there, networking, joining Women in Technology, I was able to get really involved with professional development, and that under CUIT, where both Emerging Technologies and Women in Technology started, they have a mentoring platform. Even though I wasn't in IT, I was just there as someone that wanted to network and have this open dialogue and learn from my peers. I was able to join their mentoring platform, and I'm just finishing this December a 12-month mentorship program through CUIT. And so things like that, those are the kind of resources that we want to bring here as well to your team and to all of us, to have that platform up here at the medical center.
Is anyone aware of the mentorship program that Phoenix is referring to? No. Okay. Oh, sorry, next slide.
All right,
Ooh.
and so, and this is our website, and so as you can see, it has our 3 committees there that we will be consolidating into 2. We have a list of our events and resources, and so as we're going, we're looking to revamp things, and we need more people from IT to help us as well to make sure that this is available as a resource to more and more people.
Sure, and as part of resources, just so you know, we do have open jobs currently posted within Columbia, of course, because we don't want to lose you. And we also have trainings that are available as far as professional development is concerned.
All right, and so I mentioned earlier about the website launch back in 2018. We eventually had more networking mixers in the fall and in the spring of this year, which was actually at the School of Nursing. Was anyone able to attend that one? Did any of that information make it here? We were surprised that we didn't see as many people from CUIMC.
From the
or
medical
IT
center, and it was at the medical center.
So we were able to tour the simulation center, and it was excellent and it was amazing, but we realized that we need to do a better job about getting more of us there, more of us in attendance. And then this fall, we had our first conference. We partnered with CBS Corporation to talk about information security. It was an all-day event on the main campus at Lerner Hall. And so one of the things that we want to do going forward as well is breaking down the silos all across the university. So the website launch was at Barnard, the networking mixer in the fall was at Teachers College, then the School of Nursing, then main campus. And then I recently led the professional development committee out to the engineering school, to their makerspace. Who here is aware that there's a makerspace at the engineering school down on the main campus? Oh. 3D printers, laser cutters, engravers, all of that's there, and that might not be something that we're doing in our day-to-day job, but being able to learn CAD, being able to go and just learn a new skill, that's important. That's something that really gets people excited. I had a whole team of people that were just excited to learn and grow together and make some new friendships and connections to really feel like Columbia is a great place to work, because it can be. And so some of our future events that we'll be doing, we have a book club. We decided to pick Nevertheless, She Persisted. True stories of women leaders in tech. I'm halfway through it. I need to finish up so I can pass it off to the next person. But the book club we're going to do in January and continue that throughout the year. We also have professional headshots coming up in the spring where we'll be going to the journalism studio because they have a full-on studio there to do the professional photos where they do all kinds of recordings and such. And I mentioned emerging tech where I got started before Women in Technology, and we plan to also, as a team, attend that together. And so that has all kinds of external stakeholders. We invite people from all around the university to come and talk, but we also invite like NVIDIA, Google, IBM, Microsoft, Apple is coming later this month. And so those are all the kinds of places where you can go and where we like to go together as a team to learn more and grow together.
Thank you, Phoenix. So in regard, I love this audience. So in regards to our call to action, what we wanted to leave you with is, as an employee of CU and in an IT role, you can get involved in WIT by attending and participating in the events, some of which we already identified we had in the past and coming up, volunteering or joining a particular committee, the ones that we've identified previously, access to shared resources across the campus, not just the medical center, but also CU and the other campuses, and also participate in the mentorship program. In regards to other employee resource groups, I know you're probably wondering what they were since I mentioned earlier. We do have an active veterans employee resource group. We have an African, Caribbean, and Black resource group. We have a Latinx resource group, and I'm forgetting one, LGBTQ resource group. and they're actually all going to be meeting next week. If you're interested, you can reach out to me for the dates for those particular meetings. And if you need more information in regards to women in technology at CUIMC, you're welcome to reach out to myself, Tanya Richards, or Phoenix as well. And thank you for your time.
Does anybody have any other questions for Tanya?
Yes. Sure. Thank you.
Thank you, Tanya.
Thank you.
This is very important. So both myself and Gaspar have worked on this. We've worked very closely with leadership within CUIT. This is just an example. Opportunities. We have a relationship now with a company called Fairy Godboss as well. And what that allows us to do is actually go out and actively recruit technology talent from outside Columbia and be able to use a website and be able to use an entire network to do that. And that's also in coordination with women in technology and focuses on our female technology candidates that we want to target. But this is very important to me as well, should be important to all of you. And the most important takeaway for me is I want to find more candidates. I want to find people, I can go all the way back, like this guy here, who's not here because he's working really hard on TDR. He's coming though. He might even be on the phone. He got an award today. How many people in IT get awards around here? Anyone? You ever gotten an award for anything? What did you get, Tony? No, I said just Darren. Oh, just Darren, yeah. No one. No recognition. Nothing. He actually got $750 today. A baton. A picture with Lee. A dumb picture with me. Stood up in front of all the leadership. I got a chance to finally talk about, hey, this is what we're doing. And got so many great comments about how well IT is doing. All we hear about is all the garbage and all the other stuff people are complaining about. But sometimes moments like that, when we have somebody, we develop them, and there's recognition, that's what really matters. And my ask to all of you is I want to find candidates both within Columbia. I don't care if it's students. I don't care if it's your neighbor. We've got to find them. Because coming up, talked a little bit about how things are changing. We're getting into a whole new world now, post-Epic. People are buying in. Talked about $20 million for a network. We're already planning how we're going to pay for this. We asked in our budget, and they didn't actually laugh at us, 66 people in this room, 66 more. Because there's a lot of stuff we've got to do. Does anybody here think we spend enough money on IT? Does anybody think we pay enough? Nobody. Paulie, does she make enough money? No? Figured. Good answer. That's a lot of people. I can't go out and recruit all that. It would take months. It's hard enough to hire or do anything in Columbia. That could take months. So I need all of you to identify, find good candidates. We found one, if I may introduce Kris. You come on up, for our Chief IT Operations Officer. So why did I want a Chief IT Operations Officer? Do we have good operations here in IT? Be self-critical.
We're working on it.
We're working on it. That's her answer to everything. We're working on it. Do you think things run smoothly? Why do I bring the certified IT groups here? Do you think things run smoothly? Do you think things run smoothly in your own departments? No. No. You need somebody whose whole job is to take a look at that. And we've talked a lot about how things are going to change. That's part of it. We've talked a lot about how we're going to finally hire a chief data officer. I was going to bring like a fake chief data officer, put him right here, say, yeah, we found one. Still haven't found one. We're still working on it. The whole budget's still there, so that person's coming. But they're still not here yet. But those types of resources also require people. So if we're going to go and we're going to build an analytics team, We're going to have to build the budget, the people, the space for them. Now all that, we finally have gotten the momentum to actually do it. To actually go out, hire people, and bring them on. And part of the whole career development we talk about, when we talk about strategy with centralizing infrastructure, we hire people like Charlie Corona, is I can go hire Charlie. How long did it take to recruit you, Charlie? A few months. You're the lucky one. It could take 6, 12, 18 months to find somebody that knows about the cloud. How about just developing people internally to do that? Who here wants to do something else? Sasha, you like your job then, huh? You just want to keep doing what you're doing? Yeah. Now some of you go off and what do? You go do something else somewhere else. I don't want that. I don't want you to go to the Apple event and be like, I'd rather work at Apple. Now, can I compete against Apple for Apple CITG? What do you think? It's tough. We need to create a strategy. We need to create a plan to get you to, we're working on it, to get and stay here. I want to defer to you a little, Kris, and introduce yourself as well.
Sure.
Because I know some people have met Kris, some have not. Kris comes from the FPO, and she'd be glad to tell you what the FPO thinks of IT.
Yes.
Yes.
And it took about 8 months for me to get my transition, so.
Yeah.
Thanks, Erik. So for those of you who I haven't met in person, my name is Kris Bhambhani, and I recently joined the team working with Erik and the rest of CUIMC IT as a Chief IT Operations Officer. So it's been an interesting transition, and essentially my background is in operations, health IT, and health policy. So I have years of experience in each area. So it's interesting to bring them all together. And that's essentially what I did at the FPO. I was working as a director in health IT with the CMIO office, as a lot of you know. So in terms of strategy for our team, I have a lot to say, but I'm not going to go that long because, But I think we definitely don't get the recognition we deserve. And I haven't been here that long, but I don't like hearing complaints about, oh, IT did this, IT did that. I don't think so. I don't think it's the IT team that made this mistake. And it's really important to me to take all the positive things that no one ever bothers to acknowledge because it's running the way it's supposed to, or if somebody went a little bit out of the way, you don't get those emails. It's only when I can't log in, really you forgot your password, that's why you can't log in, but we get those emails and those complaints. So it's really important to me to highlight those kinds of things and all the cool things that we do as a technology team. In terms of strategy, and I'll keep it short, then I'll refer to you. It's important to me to focus on operational excellence. How can I come in, bridge any gaps between the clinical leadership that I have close relationships with, the operational leadership, the DAs that I work very closely with, and help us all run a little smoother to make our jobs a little bit easier, lives a little bit better. I want to focus on the end user experience. And I've already said too much, so
No, go ahead. That's good. Because I wanted to bring in somebody within Columbia, but outside PNS, that could say, hey, this is what people think of IT operations. This is how they interact with us every day. And when you think about it, when we hired our COO, Donna's pretty young. She's not too old. Kris is pretty young. You know, as we bring in people, they're like, what the heck is going on here? We need people like that aren't willing to accept the cultural challenges that we've had for so long, where it's just been, well, that's the way we always do it.
Oh yeah, I don't accept that.
You don't accept it. We're working on it.
We're working on it.
Yeah, you don't always have to accept that.
Yeah.
And it's slow, and it's hard, and it's going to take a long time. But we've laid out as part of our strategy, when I wanted to introduce it to you, when we talk about centralizing infrastructure, that's not just about the tech stuff. That's about all the people. That's what we're trying to do. And I'm not dumb enough to go into every department and just say, here I am, I'm taking over. It's going to be a process. It's going to take time. It's going to require a new financial model. But all of that now is in process. All of that's going on behind the scenes. And now it's just a matter of we've got to execute on it. Because things are going to change. So we have to be prepared for that. When we talk about digital, We just hired as our new Chief Digital Officer, Director of Web Services, the digital director from Mount Sinai. What's Ed Doherty's face look like these days? He's like, what the hell goes on around here? Can't even believe. He's just attacking little things.
Yeah.
Do any of you like websites around here? No. Do any of you like the fact that you can't do anything on your phone around here?
No.
So he knows.
Yeah.
And all of this is stuff that we've got to attack and we've got to work on. It's going to take us a long, long time. But we've got to lay that out as a goal moving forward. And our administration is behind us. What do you need? How much money is it going to take? How many people is it going to start to take? And then lastly, with analytics, we've got a few people from the analytics team here. Do we do anything with our data? Do you think we do really anything? No. I mean, no. We kind of joke about it, right? My boss can't joke about it because her job is to run the whole place. And she can't even do that because she can't even take the data we produce and do anything with it. So we can make jokes about the fact that we have 2 million access databases on campus right now. Do you think 2 million is a lot or a little? It's a lot. If I paid Sasha $2 million and I paid you that, would you be happy? No, you still wouldn't be happy. Okay. That's a lot of access databases. When you ask people, why do you have access to data? Because I don't know where to go or what to do when it comes to analytics. If you think about the problem, the message that has to get across, people don't realize, like we do so well, we get a lot of research grants. The FPO does really well. Talk about how much patient volume they get, the revenue, everything. And you look around and you say, they do it all in spite of technology. Yep. Now just imagine if they started to actually use it. Well, maybe 2 years ago, 3 years ago, there wasn't the team in place in the administration to recognize that and to do that. But things are now changing. And now the people that are coming in and the people that are being promoted up clearly see that. And we're bringing in people from other institutions like Mount Sinai, like NYU. They're like, oh my God. Yeah. And they know, they see it. So now we've got to change with that. So I want you to keep that in mind because it's not just me writing a bunch of slides. It's got to be a process with all of you too. You've either got to buy into it, we've got to refine it, you've got to work with me on it, you've got to build yourselves to be a part of it, or we're not going to be able to succeed. And we're just going to go back to the old ways. Cloud, same thing. Same problem. We have the C2B2 data director. Hi, sir. How are you? I'm sure you're going to love your job. And I'm glad you came. And you are not part of the problem. You are going to be part of the solution. But as a medical center, we're pretty far behind when it comes to the word cloud. Why I mentioned cloud as an example is, Tanya was talking about emerging technologies. When I hear the word emerging technologies at the medical center, I kind of laugh a little bit inside. I'm like, really? Like, come on, guys. Because people would come up to me and they're like, yeah, we do AI, I'm like, really? Like, where? What? And somebody came up to me and asked me what Alexa is. Like, somebody was talking to Alexa. And I'm like, Alexa's somebody's name. Like, what? What do you mean? We don't do the advanced technologies, but more importantly, we don't do them in terms of applying them to the actual users on campus. And if we do it, everybody does it on their own. So if you're a certified IT group, are you sick and tired of people building their own clouds that you don't know about? Are you sick and tired of paying a fee for them? Are you sick and tired of not having the ability to just even access cloud providers? It's all tiresome. And we've decided to come up with a plan and a strategy and to hire into that. But more importantly, to start taking people from our team, like Jason Habal, and take him from one role and say, you're going to become a cloud architect. You're going to learn. I'm going to pay for you to learn. If you want to go to Las Vegas and gamble and learn on the same time, you're going to go. You want to go and reInvent? You're going to go. But if that's what it takes to build up a team of cloud architects and cloud services people, we're going to do that. So the whole point in terms of a cloud strategy, let me ask you, Kris. Does anybody at the FPO know what the cloud is?
I don't think so. However,
Good answer.
some may, but someone I work with there asked me, are we going to talk about the cloud today at the IT
Yes.
town hall? And
She's actually on the phone.
Yes.
Hi, Amanda. Yeah, we're going to talk about the cloud.
So-
We don't do enough with the cloud, Amanda. We don't, you know? And providers come up to me from other institutions. They're like, why don't we do anything with the cloud? They're like, where I came from, we would store data, we'd do analytics, we would be able to do all types of research. We had relationships with Amazon. They were taking us out to dinner. None of that happens here. We don't do any of it. And I could put pictures up like this all day, but it all comes down to the same cultural change that has to occur. Because I can go pay for a cloud team, we can go build cloud services. In the end, people have to use it. And in the end, for 18 months I've been here trying to change things slowly and trying to get this epic process over the finish line. Now we're getting into 2020. Now we're going to turn on something. How many people are excited that we're going to turn it on? I'm excited, right? How many think it's going to be awesome when we turn it on? How many of you have vacation on February 1st? Scheduled. Good job. It's going to be crazy. Then we're going to have to do stuff like this. All of us have to work together on this. And I'm going to go out and we're going to get people to use cloud and use services because I don't want to run a data center anymore. I know you don't want to run a data center anymore, Vinod. You want to do some cool stuff in the cluster. You probably don't want to deal with it anymore. We're going to go in that direction. And like I said, the administrative team that we have in place now, the leadership team gets it. Because we're going to have a new dean, we're going to have a new face of CUIMC, and technology, if you can believe it, I actually found this out, is an important part of the hiring process for the new dean. Like, do you embrace technology? It's actually a question they're going to ask people. So if the dean asks me, the new dean, what are we doing with the cloud? I want to answer that. And I want to say we're all working together as departments to do that.
I think the appetite's there now, or
Yeah.
it's starting to get there.
Yeah. And then we talk about operations. So all of our budget work, talked to about 66 people total, really fall into several areas. And part of that is the recognition that some things are going to change over time. Certified IT groups is a concept that was created for a reason. That's going to change over time. How we change it together, how we do that is very important, but it's going to change. Investments in operations, which we're starting to do, we want to start to change how users operate. You probably are looking at me like, no way, it's not going to happen. Who knows who Bob DeBoer is here? Of course you know who he is. He's like, that ain't never going to happen in my lifetime. I bet him it's going to happen. I bet him his cabin. I said, it's going to change. We can take that cabin if I win. Because we can do it. We really can change things like operations. But part of that is, it's not just the togetherness I talk about, it's we really got to start to roll out in terms of money some of the things that are possible. So I talked about the network. We're going to do the network upgrades. Finally figuring it out now. How are we going to pay for this? How are we going to plan it out? We're starting the planning now. We talk about analytics, build a program. I can't hire a chief data officer and just say, go sit up on PH18 or go sit in the basement of the Haven building. If you were a chief data officer, would you want to sit in the basement of the Haven building? Have you been down there? It's a fun place. No. We're going to have to build that program out. We're going to have to do a lot more work in digital. So one of the things we're planning to do this year, for example, is we're going to build an intranet. Finally going to build a CUIMC intranet. Getting a nice, happy page. It's going to show you all the great stuff of CUIMC. It's going to pop up, and there it is. Is it going to be easy? No. What's the dental people going to say when I say, I'm going to build you an intranet? They're going to be like, I want the dental intranet. I know, I got it. We're going to do it. We're going to put the money into it. We're going to collaborate more and have the tools for that. And we are putting them out there, and we are trying as fast as possible. A lot of what we're trying to do, and what we've tried to do over the last year and a half, is just throw a lot of stuff out there to see what can catch on and what we can do. But now that the money is starting to flow in more and more and more, and there's a willingness to spend it, it's got to get a little more focused in terms of what we spend it on. And I mentioned cloud before. The most important thing for me on here is that word invest. Because I asked you before, how much do we spend on IT? And we have Kris here, we have Anthony Terry here. How much does the FPO spend on IT? 1.6%. So we, in our wisdom, have gone off and asked research firms, prepared consulting reports, which is kind of hilarious because we pay consultants to tell us what we already know, which is we don't spend enough. And 3-5 years ago, nobody cared. 3-5 years ago, nobody thought the way we operate decentralization was a problem. Now it's all changing. Now everybody's saying, yeah, you need more money and you need to centralize things. When we talk about something like this, the trustees actually stood up and gave me a standing ovation. Because they were like, I was like, whoa, what did I? Because they've been waiting. They're like, come on, let's change. But the biggest problem, Ann knows this, is it's all great to put slides up and say like, yeah, you need the money. You need the people and you need the money. What's finally coming to fruition. All that effort, all that pushing. So just be prepared for that as part of operations. And Kris is going to talk a lot more about that over the next months. Is as we hire, as we bring in people, and as we work to develop people more, it's all got to fit into this operational plan. Okay? Good. Now we get to the fun part. Not the drinking yet, no. We're going to bring up 2 of your colleagues. Come on up. We're going to just ask questions.
Let's give them a hand.
Yes. And I want one of you that has a burning question to sit up here with me. Come on. Who wants to do it? Anyone. Any certified to any person. No one wants to ask any question.
Don't be shy.
Don't be shy. I mean, I'll close my eyes like this and just pick one of you out, if that's what it takes. Jason, come on up. Sit in the chair. We're going to have Jason, who's now our new cloud architect, ask a lot of dumb questions. We're excited for this. I'm going to sit over here. Sit over here, Jason. Fire away.
It's over there.
Oh, it's over there. The handheld mic?
Yeah. The mic? Yep. Thank you. Perfect. Yep.
Nah, he's up first. Well,
There you go.
We're already
Grab a
mic'd up.
seat.
we're already mic'd up. Yeah.
All right, good. Fire away.
Start with us?
Yes.
Right on. Okay.
Good, Mike.
you want to introduce yourself really
Oh,
quick?
yeah. So Mike Fauscher, Direct IT at
Who doesn't know who Mike is?
Just
Center
in
for-
case.
Okay.
Center for Translational
Yes.
Immunology or Medicine Immunology. I'm psyched to be here. So
Yes,
thanks for having
me
us
too.
up.
Part of my operational.
Good. The
Yeah,
introductions.
yeah.
Yes.
Appreciate that. You want to go down the line?
Do you have a song, Eric, first?
I
before
do
you
not.
introduce
If the
yourself?
question, if you were going to ask me to sing Epic Together again, I'm not going to.
Okay.
But I'm Eric Steinhardt. I'm the
Okay.
Director of IT for the Department of Pathology and Cell Biology.
Yes. Who are you?
Jason Ball, Cloud Engineer.
Feel the excitement of Jason.
Welcome, Jason.
Yes. And this is for all the people on the phone and on the WebEx as well. This is an opportunity just to ask questions of me, and I'm going to ask some questions of them, talk about what I think, what's on my mind in terms of answers that I can get from you.
Sounds good.
Fire away.
So you've been in the healthcare industry quite a while.
Yes.
How has the role of CIO changed as you see it over the past, say, decade?
Well, I think I talked a little bit about it just now. It's gone from just run things in the back office, make sure the lights are on, make sure people pick up the phones, to in high-performing organizations that I've seen, it becomes part of not just in terms of the executive tier, part of the business. Technology is part of the business. The most valuable companies in the world are technology companies. Who wants to work at Google? Who wants to work at NVIDIA? That's where you want to work. Now, part of my role is I have to develop people in technology that align to the business. So I can't just have fancy technology people that just know how to code or just know how to do database administration or just cloud people. I got to hire people that also can work with the business to show them how to use technology to advance in their roles. So that's been the biggest thing for me, because when I started, I was just a programmer, and then I did database administration, and all they did is they sat you in a cubicle. And unfortunately, I have to sit many of you in a cubicle as well. That hasn't changed. But what's changed is as you become and move up in your role, become a CIO, you spend most of your time with the business. It doesn't matter, the technology piece is not as important anymore. There's plenty of people that can do the technology. It's all business related now.
Right, right. So people start to recognize, especially in the C-level, they start to recognize your colleagues, the value of IT.
Yes.
Right, as opposed to it just being a stopgap solution.
Yes.
Or something that you plug and play. So, yeah.
Well, dovetailing off that, Erik, I think a lot of us think of IT as being a cost center. Like, it's sometimes a bottomless pit that our departments are spending money on. And rather than go that route, it might be a great thing to do to try to make us a revenue driver.
Yes.
And so that's the way I kind of want to think of IT in the future. What are your thoughts on that?
I completely agree. That's one of the reasons when we talk about Kris coming in, coming from an organization like the FPO, which is what, 65, 70% the revenue of the total institution?
Yep.
A lot. Do you think that we use technology within the FPO to drive revenue?
No, I think the appetite's there, but
Yeah.
no, not the way
Yeah.
we want to.
Not the way we want to. Same thing in terms of my job. It's not been the way we want to. But I heard a great story last week about a product called Radar 8 that we worked with dermatology on to pilot and implement. And part of my job is you got to move everything over the finish line. So I know Emmy's over there, Jane's over there. We had to do, what do we have to do Radar 8? We have to do the RSAM process. We had to deal with all that. We've got to evaluate it all, and we've got to spend the time to do that. But once we finally got through all that, the whole purpose and why dermatology implemented Radar 8 is they're not doing that well when it comes to revenue. So they wanted a product that could help them, and in 2 weeks, they were like, our revenue actually is looking so much better. We're doing so much in just 2 weeks with technology. And they're like, we want to go out and tell people about it and use it. And see, that's kind of the counterpoint to the question, which is a lot of it for me when it comes to revenue growth is also how do we become more efficient? Because also last week, somebody else came up to me and said, well, I want to use a product called Social Climb, which is basically the exact same product as Radar 8. So part of my job is also, when we think about revenue growth, is to tell your users and to tell all the administration, hey, if we just use one product that works well for everybody, we're going to save some money. And then we can take that money and do something else with it, like give everybody in this room a raise. You're supposed to laugh at that.
We didn't think it was funny.
No, okay, thanks.
So I had this experience just today. My director asked me for bullet points because they're going to vie for another 5-year grant from NIH. And so part of the proposal is an explanation about the technology we're using it's our porcine management system. Right? So we talk about the pedigrees and all that sort of stuff. And being able to prove to the NIH, the group that we're getting the grants from or hope to get the grants from. I mean, we're talking about a grant that's going to support us over the next 5-6 years, right? One of our meat and potatoes grants, showing them that we're going to do more with than anyone else can do with it. So I had to come up with these bullet points and say, like, look, we've got this LabTrax database. That's really amazing. It allows us to show the pedigrees going back 40 years. We can show you, what happens to our animals. What our plans are to do with them, what the genetic history of all these are. So that right there is, I look at that as a revenue driver because I think that gives us a leg up to when we vie for that grant.
Yeah, and that's great, Mike, because we're going to talk a little bit about the IT Summit in a few minutes.
Right.
That's an example. We talk about the role of the CIO changing as well. My job is to then take that and say, this is what you could do. And show that to everybody so that they know. And we all know at CUIMC that's very hard, but that's what I'm here for, to do that. You produce great solutions, you work with the customer to do that. Let me go out and sell it and show that to them. Jason, what would you like to ask me? Not for a bigger office.
What's your vision for the data analytics team?
Well, what I definitely want to do is I want to build a team that's looked at like a service. When we think about all the services that IT offers, that reacts to what our business needs. And what I see our business needing is they don't know what's going on when it comes to operations. They don't have a good sense when we talk about revenue cycle, finances, what they can actually do. How much money do we have? You think it's kind of sad that our COO can't do the deep dive looks that she wants to do into the money we make. So I want our team to be attached to making that better. And then for me, with the researchers and with all of the clinical analytics that we're going to do, I just want them to go out and improve operations, improve lives around here. Because when you think about the researchers, a lot of them are really great people to work with. A lot of them, Michael, you know, a lot of them very challenging to work with. But in the end, they're all going out and doing really great things that I get to hear about all the time. And some of these things, I have no idea what it is. I have to go to Wikipedia and actually look it up, like, what is this? But the thing about the IT part of it, for analytics, every single one of them tell me, I go off and do it all on my own. And I don't want to do that anymore. I wish we had a team that could take care of that for me. And I can't promise them that I'm going to build the greatest team ever or the greatest service ever, but just to start with the idea that I can help you, here's how, that means a lot to me, to be able to do that. Kris, what question do you have?
I actually have a comment for Erik's question regarding revenue. So one of the many initiatives we're working on is a new website for the FPO. A big component of that is patient access. How can we attract new patients to bring in new revenue? How can we get those new patients to then go to multiple providers and generate referrals internally? So all of that is through the use of different apps and different applications where you could book appointments online. That's all technology that's going to help, and it's not new. That's existed for a long time. I implemented that at NYU years ago, but those are things that we don't really utilize here, and those types of initiatives are going to help generate revenue as well.
So, Kris, do you think that the fact that we don't have really great mobile apps and presence on the internet in that respect detract patients from coming to us?
That's an interesting question. I think that for me personally, as a born and raised New Yorker, if I needed to come to Columbia for a certain condition, I'm coming to Columbia. I'm not gonna, if I can't get you online, I'm coming. That's me. So I think we have that reputation, but in this day and age, we can't just rely on that. And I think that's part of the culture change that leadership sees.
Yeah.
I think there's a big push on the mobility side, and we're working towards that direction.
Yeah. I would just add to that question, Erik. I certainly think it does detract. And there are a lot of doctors that think it does detract. And what they tell me, a lot of the people we work with, a lot of the administrators, a lot of the doctors, they come here too for care. They come to CUIMC. And they're like, I can't even find myself. So I can only imagine, in terms of a patient, what it's like to do that. But beyond that, you think about New York City. It's a very competitive place, very competitive market for healthcare. And yes, we have great doctors. We can do a lot. But I always look at it, my job as a CIO, I'm competing against all of them.
Right.
And it's really hard to compete against them. It really is, because we can do some great stuff, but when it comes to technology, we don't hold up against them. They're just better. And they use it as an advantage against us. And there's a lot of people that recognize that. So that's, I think, really increased the willingness. We talk about patient access and scheduling. It's just a first step to really change that.
It's about agility too, isn't it? Right? Being able to sense and respond the needs, not just the problems and the issues that arise, but the sense and the needs of the community.
Yeah. And it mentioned researchers. I'm very cognizant. I know there's certain things that CUIMC IT does that make their life miserable. I don't want to do that. And I look at that and I'm like, I have to do this because this is what I inherited. This is what I was told to take and use. And then I can talk to my colleagues at other places and they're like, what do you know? Like, we don't do any of that. And then also, you add to that the fact that a lot of our researchers, a lot of our staff, a lot of our younger staff especially, come from other places that they look at and they just say, this is way more dysfunctional than where I came from. I don't want to be a part of that dysfunction. That's not happiness for me. So we want to change that. And it actually leads into my question to you. When you think about the word centralization, what are the good things you think about, and then what are some of the bad things you think about?
First thing I think of is knowledge sharing, having the immediate resource that if I don't know how to do something, I know that I have a group or people that I can go to and find that information out, or at least point whoever needs that solution to those folks, right? Breaking down silos, use catchphrases and that sort of thing. That's the good things that I hear. I've been in sort of an island upon myself, if that's the term, at the Center for Translational Immunology. Now we have Fabio, so it's a two-man operation. But being able to consider myself sort of agile within that group is something that I'm accustomed to, and I feel how do I say this? I feel like I'm responsive because I'm responsive to this group. When I think about centralization, I think about, well, it's almost like a behemoth that's going to add delays, so to speak, to my response to those that I'm working with and for. That's the good and the bad side. Mostly is the knowledge sharing, there's shared resources, the ability to move up and to get learn more. That's primarily it. Yeah.
What about you, Eric?
So I have to agree. Resource sharing, I think, is a big plus for centralization. The negative I think about is the resistance that you might get from the departments. That's my fear. So my question to you would then be, how do you win over the hearts and minds of the chairs and the DAs to buy into that when for so long the CITGs and before the CITGs came about, there were so many diverse IT departments and everybody likes having their own IT department?
Yes.
Right.
Yes. It takes a tremendous amount of just talking, cajoling, begging, in some cases enforcing to try to get there. Which is why I always strive to bring you to our events. I don't look at it as our being CUIMC IT. You're all part of our organization already. You're coming to my Christmas party. Elizabeth, you're coming to my Christmas party. You're part of our team.
Get an invitation.
That's the first thing, because I just look at your department, and it's almost like it's almost like football. Like you guys are competing against each other in the same division, and we're all in the same school, the same place. And my predecessor not being able to work with you, not being able to work with CUIT, the hospital, that's the first part of it, is just making it easy to work with others and work with people. To say, I will try, I will work with you to the best of my ability. And why I hire somebody like Kris? Because one of the things the FPO told me is she's very collaborative. I like people that are collaborative, that go out of their way to work with others. That's the biggest piece that I've seen, because it's not going to be that you just create a policy and you decide that this is the way it's going to be and that's it. I just spent 3 days going over website policies to try to help you and to say, like, if we do this and we say everybody's got to use CUIMC for websites, this is what the departments will tell you. So this is what you got to solve. You've got to make it easy for them to use websites internally and make it cost affordable and provide them good service. And even then, it'll take a period of time to get there. So what I see is it's just going to be a lot of work. And that's why you're part of my family, Yeah, you're part of our team because part of that is you. Nobody on our team is allowed to look at you as anything other than part of our team. And it's got to be the same way at the departmental level. And it's not going to be easy, which is why we can't set unrealistic goals. But we have to set a vision out that that's what we're going to do.
So, as a follow-up to that,
Yeah.
we are part of the family. Can I borrow your snowblower?
Do you actually have a sand blower for Florida? Because I could definitely use that.
But more seriously, as CITG members and
Yes.
leaders, how can we help you convince our departmental?
Perfect question. Because one of my questions to you was going to be, what can I do better? I want to be self-critical, deprecative, because my own staff tells me all the time certain things that I do and don't do well. So that's one of the things you can do. If I'm steering towards the iceberg, tell me to turn left. Don't laugh and say, oh, I'll just go to the iceberg, goodbye. Tell me. I want your input. I don't want to write strategic plan slides. I want you to read it and tell me, that works. Maybe think about this a different way. How do we sell this? I wish you could help me more selling it to your departments, but my feeling has always been that you're not always appreciated as much as you should be in your departments, and thus it's really hard for you to go out, because my own staff experiences that. We all experience that. We're just not very well appreciated. We go off and do TDR. Most of the people doing TDR are not here right now because they can't be, because they actually have to go out and meet with people. And they come back and they tell me stories all the time. All of you tell me stories all the time about users that just aren't very nice to us. So I wish there was more you could do there, but I think the most important thing is just input. Tell me what you think. Tell me what I can do better. If you don't feel comfortable telling me, now you have somebody else that you can tell, and let's improve together. Jason, I wanted to ask you a career development question because, I picked you because you're quiet, but also because you're an example of what I mean with career development. How many of you have done a performance review in your time at CUIMC?
Have done one or had one?
Had one.
Had one.
How many of you thought it was a pleasant experience? Really? Okay, good. No, it's okay. No, good, that's good. I want that. Well, why I say that is, the thing that I've kind of latched onto in the last year that I've learned, among many observations, is that career development is just not there. The performance development is non-existent. And in terms of our performance review and process that we do internally, it's really hard because I have nothing to work with. Like I can't, for example, point to, here's a strategy for the medical center and how are you doing in terms of aligning to that? Because we don't have one. We don't have an operations plan in the medical center. We all just kind of operate on our own. So it's really hard to figure it out. So what I've tried to do when we talk about career development, and this is why I want to ask you about it, is, what do you think we can do better career development wise? Because you're an example of, I took somebody that was doing one thing and I just said, I'm going to have to make up a job for you because I have no guidance, I have no help. I'm going to have to come up with a grade, I'm going to have to come up with a job, and you're just going to have to go and do it.
I think cross-training would be helpful.
Okay.
So whatever I learn, I can pass on to somebody else. That would be very good.
Good. Because I'm glad you mentioned that, because that's also, when we talk about centralization, knowledge sharing, cross-training, that's also what I want to try to do. Is I don't think really any of the certified IT group members want to be just desktop support people. Is that really what you want to do in your life, in your career? No. You want to do other things. A lot of us are going to move on to other things. I know that's going to happen. We can pay for training. We do all that. We do that now internally. We've done that for you.
Yes.
A lot of that's going to have to come across the organization to be able to train, because it's the only way. Because it'd be great to send you all on nice vacations and be able to go off and take trainings for 4 days. It's just not going to happen. Not realistic. It's going to have to be a lot of it internal. So I'm glad you feel that way because I'm trying. I think we all are, but I want to bring that to more of you than just an example like Jason internally that we're trying to do now.
You were talking about centralization. I just thought of a story I learned back in the Apollo era. My understanding is that the engineers that came up with the idea or the mechanisms to go to the moon, as they all retired, no one else knew how they did it. So they didn't share that. None of that carried on. So like Jason was saying, as you have the ability to pass that knowledge on to someone else is really important. And that's another plus to centralization.
Yeah, very important. Question from the audience. Vina, why not?
Microphone.
Eric.
I'm Eric with a C, he's Eric with a K.
Yes.
Big Eric and little Eric, it
Yes.
doesn't matter.
By the way, somebody is listening to me on phones. I'm Vinod Gupta from C2B2. I want to follow up a question to Eric about the centralization. Have you won hearts and minds of departments for centralizing IT? Yesterday, I was talking to the chair of our departmental computing committee. I'm new to Columbia. I had to listen to many people, so I started interviewing many people. Yesterday, I was talking to the chair of our departmental computing committee, and I heard him saying that your even departmental IT group is not able to meet the diverse needs of different research groups. When that is a scenario, how are you going to target that all the departments will be centralized? To me, that looks very, very ambitious goal, at least for the HPC work.
Yeah, I think part of it has to be, centralization is a word, part of it has to be more, you think about the American Revolution. You started with the Articles of Confederation, and then you had the Constitution. Well, what happened with the Articles of Confederation? Why do we not operate under that system? Because the states could do whatever they wanted to. There was no central power. And then what happened? We have the US Constitution, which has a federal power and state power. That's kind of the way I look at it. There's things that the department IT groups will continue to do and do well. I have to feed you money and services and people to do those well. And I have to get the central administration to pay for that. Now, they're not always going to agree to just pay for it. They love the word tax and fees and fair. The best acronym I've ever heard here is FAIR. This is not fair, but they got to come up with a way to do it. But my job is to empower you with services, people, what you need to do your job. And I've failed you in the first 18 months in doing that because it's really hard. Because exactly with your group, you came from Princeton. You can talk with me offline what you think so far. Don't worry. But we think about the group that you have to deal with. I know that group. I know the people, the users you're dealing with, and the diverse needs that they have. They want a lot of stuff. It's really hard to pay for it all and to do it all. And it's going to take more people. It's going to take more technologies to do that. And the way I look at that, just from my consulting mind, is the only way we're going to be able to get that done is reuse. We're going to have to reuse people. We're going to have to reuse infrastructure. It's all going to have to be the same. And we're not going to get there day one, but we're going to have to really work hard to get there, because otherwise it's just going to continue to be this Articles of Confederation where every state just does its own thing. Who do we have here from medicine, by the way? Medicine is California, basically, right? Surgery is Texas. Do you want to be from Texas, Jonathan? No. You're Texas. C2B2, you're like Delaware. So, there's only so much you can do. Texas really isn't scared of you, or whatever, don't bother with us. But I don't like that mentality, because I like the idea of the federal piece of this. I need to provide services to you to do your job, and I know as part of centralization, you're still going to have to be on the ground to do everything that you have to do. Other questions from the audience? Go ahead.
I have about 4.
Really? Do we have time for them?
No,
that's fine.
not really. First off, I want to say on behalf of Certified IT, thank you.
Okay.
Because IT, as I've seen, has been very undervalued in many ways. So on behalf of everyone, first off, thank you.
Sure.
Secondly, in the case of the questions, since we're going to be going through automation, our forefront from the help desk as well, what is going to be the most immediate effect of our users with all the changes?
They're going to complain a lot.
Apart from that.
Yes. You're on the help desk, right?
Yes, sir.
Good luck.
Thank you.
They're going to call you. They're going to yell at you. They're going to complain to you. They're going to tell you this is the worst thing ever in their life. They're going to call you at 3 in the morning. They're going to find out where you live. Does this not happen to all the certified IT groups now? Brian Moda, they know where you live, right? They know where you live. Yeah. What my job is to shield you and protect you. So the immediate problem is going to be when we turn a switch like that, things change very rapidly and people's lives change very rapidly. We are implementing something called tap and go to just take a card and tap a machine and let people log in. How many of those people are calling you, Rakisha, right now? Hundreds a day. My life is ruined. I can't do my job. The patient has died. It's all over for me. You're going to work together with me to deal with it. That's my job. Go ahead. Keep going. Keep them flowing.
I want to give the floor to anybody else.
Oh.
All right, might as well. Okay, thank you.
And can you just state your name for those of us who may not know you?
All right. My name is Lemuel Concepcion. I'm a senior user consultant
Sure.
under Rakisha Davis.
Thank you.
So, go Rakisha. Okay. What areas of automation are being primarily focused on at the moment?
Define to me what you mean by automation.
More in the centralized IT, I guess, for forms, details, and maybe I'm not more.
I mean, a lot of it is, there's a lot that each department does that I feel we can all do better together. Now, I need to be able to customize it and to try to build it in a way that it can be flexible enough so that you can do what you need to do. But when we talk about things just like the cloud, we should be able to do cloud management. You can go build whatever cloud you want, but we should be able to just have cloud management at a high level, cloud security at a high level that protects the institution, controls, monitors, you do your job. That's an example. We're thinking about the help desk. Would you rather answer the phone or would you rather have Alexa answer the phone? Now, I can only imagine what would happen if Dr. Goldman called and Alexa answered the phone. It would be a nightmare. But what would you rather have?
Google, but okay.
Yeah, fine. But guess what? You think about like Google, you know, you talk to like the CIO at NYU, you know, NYU administrators, like now they talk to Alexa at their desk and that can do all the help desk work for them. Log tickets, do everything. So we've started to research that with ServiceNow, do chatbots. It'd be great if we just do a chatbot. But I know there's 1,000 users just off the top of my head. I know their names. They live in my mind. It's like nightmares that would not want to do that. I need to serve them, but I also need to serve the 1,000 users that are 25, 30, 35 years old that are like living in a technology world and then come here and think they're like people playing Atari here or something. This is not real. This is not real life. That's what they want. So we've got to balance it both. We've got to offer automation, then we also got to offer a lot of handholding.
Okay. Anybody else before I keep going?
Can I ask you a question?
No.
What's a senior, this is another thing we talk about career development. What's a senior user services consultant? I have no idea what you do, and you work for me.
It translates to a supervisor for the help desk.
Excellent. You know why I laugh at that though? Because when you think, and you sitting at the help desk and somebody's yelling at you that because the passwords just aren't synced, which isn't really our fault to you, but the passwords just aren't synced, and they're like, my password doesn't work. What are you thinking to yourself besides, where is my car?
First off, happy hour. Secondly, how we could be able to implement a much easier method for the users to reset the password. What's broken and how we can implement to fix it.
Thank you, because that's another thing we talk about, centralization, knowledge sharing. Yeah, but
I was thinking.
how many people know we're working on it? Not enough, not enough. And I'm not gonna just say it's any one person's fault. Ultimately, it's my fault that not enough people know that. But I am gonna say that You talk about your job. Your job is also to bring me ideas, to tell me, here's something that's wrong, here's how I would fix it. Because if you want to do career development, that's part. Like Jason is in that chair right now, not because he's good looking, but because he actually came up with an idea internally for infrastructure, and he's like, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to go do it. Need more people like that.
Okay. Let's.
You're hogging all the time? Hurry up, let's go.
Okay.
It was Charlie's idea.
Yes.
In the case of recognition, since you did mention it, I understand it may be in infancy, but how is it going to be gauged or recognized?
Well, that's a big challenge, because that's why I asked you about performance reviews. You know, how do you feel recognized now?
Just started, so I don't know.
Yeah. Well, let's ask people. How do you feel recognized? What do you think I'm looking at? What do you think the University Medical Center is looking at?
Revenue generation.
Yeah.
Revenue generation?
That's what they're looking at. So if you're able to,
We don't generate revenue for them.
if you're able to,
So you mean like break more stuff so we can collect more money? That's good. I mean, we could do that.
if you're able to improve operations,
Yeah.
improve the revenue
Yeah.
in that area, somewhere.
Well, yeah. I mean, really, the answer for me, you know, you think about your performance review from the FPO versus now, is we don't know. You know, when you talk about in its infancy, it hasn't been there for you. And it hasn't been there for a lot of you. And centralization is also setting central goals that all of us work towards and achieve, that we do together. But then you know, okay, if I am working towards that goal and doing a good job, I at least can be measured now. Because something like the whole departmental, every department is different, I get that. But we just think about department level, like how many of you know what your department goals are? I mean, do you have a good idea? Do you feel like you're a part of it, like you work towards it? Do they recognize that you're part of it? No, I don't think so. But we gotta fix that.
Okay. So I'll move quickly for the last question. You did mention of hiring internal. So, for
Yeah.
example, for Google, Azure, or Azure,
Yeah.
however it may be, how are you going to be able to know which individuals to select for those goals or those skill sets?
This is not, you know, like we're just picking pledges for a fraternity or anything like that. No. not like that. Part of both of our jobs, the senior leadership job, is to identify individuals, identify trends, things we need to do, and then a lot of it's just resource management. How do we figure out how to develop that person or persons? There's no one process right now. That's the honest answer. But what I want to offer is to tell you that I want to create the opportunity that it could be anyone, that could be able to do anything, that has to have the flexibility in order to do that. And it is in its infancy. We've only done that with a few people, but we have no choice. So it could be anybody from the help desk. The reason it's hard is because if I say you're going to do something else, I've got to make sure that we still can do what you do.
Okay, thank you.
So, sure. In the interest, oh, go ahead. Sorry. Yeah, that's fine. No problem. I just was going to introduce. This is fine. Do you have a time or? Yeah, I just want to make sure.
Yeah.
3:47. Yeah, time.
I don't want to
Oh, yeah.
hold people from alcohol if I don't have to. So we have a lot of people at the medical center who think they're special. We have a lot of people at the medical center who are special.
I'm special.
You're special, right?
Thank you.
Everybody's special. And everybody wants to be treated like they're special.
Yes.
And I think one of the user concerns for centralization is that suddenly they just become a number and they lose their special status. Nobody's running to their desk,
Good point.
you know, and begging to help them. And that's complicated, I think, by the fact that IT is anxiety-inducing for a lot of people. So they even want that hand-holding even more. So I think that personalization is going to be one of an area of resistance. What are you thinking about as you look at automating a lot of stuff to give people that comfort?
Well, part of that, I'd ask, you definitely would have some answers there. I really look at it two ways. So there's some users that want to basically be handheld and are so technology phobic that the idea that somehow they have to call a help desk versus just go down the hall and yell at Dean James, get in here and fix this, is foreign to them. That's really hard to deal with. That's not normal. Versus there are some users we have that are so technology advanced that all they really want is all the tools, applications that we can provide them, and they'll just do it all themselves. And they want to do whatever they want to do and be left alone. And I have to find a balance because I would say that in my career, I've enjoyed working more with people that tend to be a little more self-service focused and already understand technology and just how do we find solutions for them versus the handheld stuff. It's why I really have sympathy for the certified IT group so much is because I know that's part of your problem is that it's very difficult for you to manage time for people because there are certain users who just devour your day and devour your time. So part of the way I look at it is it's teaching people that you can do things on your own, and here's how. Our website 2 years ago, was it any good? Is it any good now? I mean, it's better. It's getting there. Part of it's investment, just having more people and deploying them correctly. You use the word automation. Part of it would just be being able to automate things. My peer, Daniel Barchi from the hospital, seems to think that Epic's going to go great. He's going to be able to handle the full load of Columbia doctors that are going to be calling the Epic help desk. That this is all going to be a breeze. We'll just go a month or two, everything will be fine. I worked at Partners. They had 18,000 tickets a day. How many tickets do we have a day, Rakisha? Do we have 18,000 a day? Do we have 1,800 a day? No. They had 18,000 a day during their Epic Go Live. We're going to have to spend more. Go ahead, sorry.
I think the message has to be, though, that it's a transition, and I think that the CITGs can help deliver that message that as we're changing, we're not ripping off the Band-Aid.
Yeah.
Right.
If you have people who need hand-holding, and they're probably some of the more senior people, that we're not going to take that away from them. But like Erik was saying, when you have technology that can help, and do I want to sit on the phone waiting for a person or sitting at my desk waiting for a person to come to me for an hour versus picking up, going into some technology and having that address my issue a lot quicker. There is a transition to this, and I think that whenever we talk about change, the first thing people think of is it's going to be drastic.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that the message we have to deliver is that it's not going to be drastic. It will be a change, but we can temper it and we can manage it to give people what they need.
Yeah, because my first thought also when Epic was happening with support was that the certified IT groups would have that role, be very hands-on. Mm-hmm. And most people didn't buy into that. They were like, oh, just call the help desk. And I was like, okay, the Columbia doctors are going to call the help desk, and they're going to call a lot, but they're used to hand-holding. Now, how are we going to deal with that? Because Epic is drastic change. I think we're going to see the results, and we're going to have to adapt based on that and try to figure out, okay, how we're going to deal with that. Now, I think about our internal organization, outside of Epic, a lot of that is, to me, if we standardize more, we centralize more of the services, and we invest in them and put more people into them, that we can get over some of that hump. Because when David Wentzler isn't in ophthalmology, what happens?
They probably shut down.
They won't need me because it'll be finished. I will type it up and I'll walk away.
Is that your dream? just walk away, retire to an island? It's all over? I like that. Yeah. Yes.
I'd just like to add, when a lot of folks come here from other institutions or other, from the corporate sector, they bring innovative ideas with them.
Yeah.
Right? And so you never want to squash those. You want to say, well, here's what we have in place, or, well, find an avenue to the CITGs and to yourself, how they can share that. And maybe, that's a great idea. That's what gave, let's say, Johns Hopkins a leg up, or IBM a leg up. Maybe we could adopt some of those strategies here.
Yeah. Yes, go ahead.
Thank you. I'm Tisha Aldonza. I work with Columbia Health IT, and we operate on the Morningside campus. And because of our unique situation, we're a covered entity on the CUIMC, but we're not really on the CUIMC. So we exist on CUIT's network and also some existence on CUIMC. So we're kind of like amphibians. And earlier you talked about centralization. And so I was wondering, especially for us, it would be very helpful for us, if there was, like centralized some services between CUIT and CUIMC. So I'm not sure, if there are any plans in the future to centralize some of the services. A good example is like our login, right?
Yes.
So our users log into CUIT's domain, and then to check their email, they log into CUIMC email system with 2 different logins.
Yes. I mean, the honest answer is that there's only so much we can do. We certainly relationship-wise, and certainly in looking bigger picture, when we're talking about investments and services, we are trying as much as possible to align and to work closely with CUIT. Because if there's something that they do better than we do, I just want to send everybody to use their stuff. Now, I'll tell you, the CUIT opinion of CUIMC IT has changed quite a bit, but it's still driven by the idea that just like what we're trying to do here, if you use CUIT services, they want you to do it their way. And sometimes our way and their way don't mix, technically or culturally. So in some cases, I can do it, I can centralize it, or in the case in that centralization, I can say, we're going to just do it the CUIT way, but other times it's not possible. And every problem like that, I will say, we talk about them. We try to figure out how are we going to solve that. With passwords, we're working on it. You say that too, we're working on it. It's not that people don't want to do it. A lot of times it's the amount of people, the money involved, the time it takes can be a lot.
I'll get us t-shirts.
Yeah, we're working on it, yeah. In the interest of time, did you want to take just a minute to talk about the IT Summit?
Sure, yeah, I'd like to. So what I envisioned for this is sort of a new face from IT to the community, the medical center. So mostly faculty, administration, the students, right? So if I may, you can see at the top line that we talk about the price of technology, and I have so many principal investigators and students come to me and say, I can do this for a lot less. Why would I jump on board with you, right? People get flash drives, for instance, from a conference that they get. It's not encrypted. It's just a 32 gig or something like that. I find dozens. I'm sure many of you find dozens of these, right, throughout the year, just hanging around on the desktops. So then they ask, why does it translate into, why is our storage software and all of our applications so expensive? So I thought that by having an IT summit where we present ourselves as revenue drivers, right, we're showing everybody that we can do more with the technology that we innovate, right? I think of CDM, as an example right off the bat, and their very interesting, cool chairs that they have that take people's heart rates and have cameras above them and all that sort of stuff, right? That's not well known around the rest of the community. But you show that value to the administrators and the faculty, and suddenly the conversation changes, right? They don't think of you as just coming to plug and play, as I say, right? Like, well, oh, you're moving someone from the cloud group right up to desktop support or into analytics or something like that. Well, why can't you do that, right? Well, you got to understand that there are different groups of us, right? There's different knowledge bases. So I think it's important for us to have these, what I envisioned was sort of a large group seminar where we have guest speakers, we have presentations, we have booths, maybe a woman in technology booth would be terrific to have, right? Something that presents ourselves in a different light to the rest of the community. Some of the other ideas we had were public safety, right? That's a simple thing. A lot of folks that come on don't even know that public safety does engravings for laptops, tracks your laptops, right? I always like to talk about the instance that one of the detectives said to me a few years back is that someone lost a laptop over in Hammer, it got ripped off, and that had 13,000 patient records on it. They found that a few days later in Jordan. As soon as someone connected it to an internet connection, they found it. They called the local authorities, they swept in, they picked it up, and they sent it back to them, right? That's all due because of public safety and their engraving program. Not a lot of folks know about that. Some of the other ideas were just a simple help desk. New people that come, right? I don't know what the orientation's like now. I mean, I started here 10 years ago. But when you join, my assumption would be that you would get a pretty comprehensive groundwork of like where to go when you have IT problems. You know, there's the desk in Hammer, and there aren't manuals for these things. So maybe we'd have a help desk right there on the spot. People could bring their laptops in and just say, look, I'm having this problem, right? What I want to show to us, what I want to show to the community is basically that we're their best option, right, for all these things, right? OneDrive is probably, you know, one of the best things to come along here, but I'm still trying to get people to adopt it and get off Dropbox, right? Trying to get them off of whatever else they're using. We want to prove to them and the faculty, the administration, everything, we're your best option, right? You don't have to go outside. You don't have to do things yourself. You don't have to spin up your own server because when the cloud comes, that'll all be taken care of. So that was my idea. Exhibit the state-of-the-art solutions. So some of these things are all in here, yeah. So geared towards the non-IT users. You know, so many people are reticent to use technology because they just don't understand it. And for us, it's like, well, why don't you go to, when I say go to Windows Explorer, go down to that little window and people open Internet Explorer, right? That happens a million times, right? So let's present ourselves as like, you know, we're here to help you and we're here to help you innovate. We're here to help the research, we're here to help the faculty, and we're here to help ultimately the patients.
I agree. I just want to add, if I may, why I'm latching onto this idea. So about 3 weeks ago, we had about an hour meeting with HR and with all the other administrators. Basically, it was our COO yelling at HR and saying, I just had the worst experience, or I had the worst experience, and another member of the administration had the worst experience, which is the onboarding process.
Right.
When I joined, I was kind of like, this is fine, you know, it's not that bad. She apparently had a really bad experience. She was like, that was the worst waste of my time that I've ever had in my life. I learned nothing. And then we added another person that also went through that, and they said the exact same thing. Onboarding is absolutely useless. And I learned nothing about IT, because it's so funny. Both of them were like, the first thing I want to do is I want my computer, I want my email, I want to know the network, I want to make sure everything's set up. All the other stuff they didn't care about. That's what they needed. And they were like, I got nothing from the experience. Now we do, in terms of our students, an onboarding summit. But my thought was if we did an IT summit, maybe once, maybe twice a year, invite new employees, and in some cases we have new researchers, other people moving onto the campus. We invite them and we say, here's what we're doing here. Here's how to get started with IT. Here's how to engage with us. This might be a really good way to help with IT onboarding. Mm-hmm. Because I think it's not only when we talk about IT in general, I think it gets down even at the departmental level, that they don't really even know who the departmental IT people are. You know, and some users are lucky to know the surgery people. Some people are not. They don't know you personally. They don't know how to get to you. So this was a way that I thought that we could invest, come up with a plan to start this in 2020, and really asked all of you is have some of you come, speak, work there, talk to people, meet people, get them to know IT a little bit better. Everybody on board with that?
Absolutely.
Good. Any other questions?
I have a question. Oh,
Yes.
sorry, please.
Yes.
No, no.
Answer the question that why, when IT is so cheap, why your IT services are so expensive?
Yeah, that's a good one, right? Well, you talk about redundancy, you talk about security, right? You talk about the property that people are generating here, or the data that people are generating here is the property of the university, right? And that sometimes sparks people to say, yeah, I guess it is, right? So you try to provide them value in other instances. I'm providing you backup, I'm providing you support, I'm providing you technical knowledge that you may not get just by grabbing something off Amazon and then hopefully calling someone at that company's help desk and maybe getting some answers. I mean, that's part of it too, proving to them that you have the knowledge base, we all do. We're an encyclopedia for everybody. We're a Wikipedia, I guess, for everyone.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you being new, I asked the same question when I joined. Like, why is everything around here beyond so dysfunctional in terms of costs? And a lot of it is because the idea of socialization of costs is somewhat foreign here, which is we all live and die together in terms of services, in terms of the IT costs overall. It's not shared out evenly. That's part of, we're talking about our strategy that we're trying to change. So centralization shouldn't just be just grabbing a bunch of people, now you're part of a different organization. It's also, we need to start to socialize. We have a bigger pot now to work with, so we can start to save money on costs. Because you've seen on the IT operations side, part of my problem in my job is all these departments do things different ways, and it manifests itself not just in business, but in technology. And they all buy different things, buy different software, and none of them like to RSAM them. I use the word RSAM them all the time internally. Nobody wants to do that, but then you look around and you see, you buy 18 of the same thing. You waste money. We can't do it anymore. And there's reasons why from the past that was done. But that has changed now. And Epic is a perfect example of a product that we are now implementing for everybody, socializing the costs, socializing it all, to implement one technology that everybody's going to use going forward. There will be no other EHRs. I know it's your dream to have Axiom still be up, Sasha. It's going away. There'll be no more Axiom. Read-only Axiom. Will anybody want Crown anymore? Is everybody excited? You still want Crown? Okay, it's all gone. Just one piece of software everybody uses. That, to me, is part of the cost problem. Costs are too high because everybody tries to do it their own way. And we want to get away from that. Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everybody's buying your home. Why
Yeah.
don't you make it available for all the departments, for all campus? That's what we did in Princeton.
Yeah. That's what we did in Princeton. I love when you say that. We're going to have a great cocktail hour conversation. That's what we did at Princeton. Yes.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yes.
Another thing, this might be a bigger conversation than what can happen here, but when principal investigators or researchers or clinicians come on board, it may make sense, if we can do that, to subsidize their first few years of data storage, application development, or whatever else they need, the database structure, so that they get off their feet, right? And then they just say, hey, I came from Princeton just now, and this is all the things I had. Well, yeah, look, you don't have to spend 60% of your grant money on just getting technology, getting servers, hiring someone from an IT person just to support you. The university will sponsor that. I mean, that was,
I agree.
That's a blue
logical. Yeah.
idea, right?
That's what we did at Princeton.
There we go. There we go. Yeah.
That's what we did at NYU.
Wait, you're supposed to say what?
I said that's what we did at NYU.
No, what were you supposed to say to him though?
We're working on it.
We're working on it, right?
That is what we did.
Because guess what? That's what we did at Princeton. That's not what we've ever done at CUIMC. And I want to take what you did at Princeton and bring it here. Because I did a lot in the corporate world. I want to take that and bring it here. I want to hire people from other places to take that and bring it here. But I also want all of you to change your thinking, because a lot of you have been beaten down. I see it all the time, that this is the way it's always been and it's always going to be. to just come up with different ideas, a different way of thinking. Because I thought this was great because it was like, it's logical. Now naturally it's CUIMC, so I was like, oh no, now I got to sell the logical. But this makes sense. And onboarding someone for IT, perfect sense. Any other questions? Any other closing thoughts from you, Kris? I know you're new, so I didn't want to put you on the spot too much. But any thoughts as you've learned about IT first few months?
Sure. I think that standardization, it's interesting because Elizabeth, your point, your perspective from earlier, which I think is maybe not yours per se, but that perspective of centralization and I might lose my support, that hand-holding, from as someone coming new to the team, from an operational perspective, my thought process is you're actually going to gain a lot because you're, instead of having the one person you're used to calling for help, now you'll have a pool of 10 people that you can call. So when your one person is out sick or whatever, you don't have to worry because you have others. So I look at it as efficiencies to be gained from that perspective. And just change is definitely coming. It's here. It's going to take time. But as Erik mentioned, you know, we have a leader who really wants to push us forward where we should be with technology. And change is good. So it's good to embrace it and participate. And we're here to support you.
Thank you. And you coming from the FPO, you know, I was struck by, Elizabeth works a lot with researchers, a lot in public health. You work a lot with doctors.
Yeah.
You know them all by name.
Yes.
They call you now. They're so excited. They're like, now I got it in. I can get into Kris. Kris will help me. Yeah. You know, that touches on it perfectly. Mm-hmm. It's not just Kris, it's all of us. Yeah. To be able to work with all of us to solve problems. Mm-hmm. So any other questions? Because I am all that stands between you and a nice cocktail hour, some hors d'oeuvres.
I've got one.
Yes.
This is from my
ruined it.
Yeah, sorry. No, I'll be real quick. I promise. And this is, I promised my boys I would ask you this because
yes.
they asked what I did today.
Your boys?
Yeah, I have twin
kids?
boys. I have two boys.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Enter Beckett. What is your name?
What is my name?
Yes, just indulge me.
Erik.
What is your favorite? No, what is your quest?
My quest. I've never thought of that question. I might have to think about that.
This is thanks to Eric Idle and John Cleese, Monty Python.
Oh
no, please don't tell me I'm
sorry.
playing the crickets.
No, I never have seen Monty Python.
We jumped out in red suits and said,
sorry.
no one expects the Inquisition.
No,
Fair enough.
Maybe that
I don't
Just
know.
lastly, then what's your favorite color?
Blue.
Blue. Very good. I think we can.
Sorry.
Not at all. They got it.
That
so
bad?
really
Somebody's going to have to teach me about it. Yeah.
You're a good dad.
Well, I'm really sorry. So somebody's going to have to teach. I watch Benny Hill more than Monty Python. I didn't know Benny Hill.
So glad it wasn't me this time.
Yes.
Yes, yeah. He bombed last time. I bombed this. So I'll take the heat.
No. Well, let's have a couple drinks and then let's try that again.
And Eric and I will.
Because I can tell you my quest after a few wines. I definitely can tell you that.
Good enough.
So, thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Go enjoy. Thank you.